Hey guys, how are you doing? I hope that things are going well, and I hope that this video recording will go well so that we can get all of this started. I'm gonna walk through the chemical equilibrium lab now. We're gonna start with the documentation, i.e. what all documents are gonna be needed, where are they, that kind of stuff. We're then gonna move into a theory segment. That'll be a different video, but I will connect them together for you guys. There'll be a theory segment. There'll then be uh, here's what would have happened in the lab kind of segment. Um, and then we'll start talking about where all that information and data fits into the paperwork that you're supposed to turn in. One of those discussions will be about the lab notebook itself. So hopefully that will happen fairly quickly and be in fairly short segments so that you can find the parts that you need. If you don't need it all, great. If you want to watch it all this time, but never again, that's fine. It's all up to you. So hopefully this will go well. Like I said, I'm going to start with the documents. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to minimize WebEx, and I'm going to find our D2L shell. So this is our D2L shell. This is your shell, and I'm going to show you a couple of things in here. So the first one I'm going to go to is into contents and into the course documents, okay? And in the course documents, there are a couple of things that you'll find that are references that you will need to be able to deal with the labs. So one of them is the lab syllabus with dates. And what you'll see here, not the lab syllabus, sorry, I meant the lecture schedule. This is the one I want. So what you'll see here is there are blue lines, 2 of them per week, and they will tell you the date and the name of the lab that was done physically in class. So those are the 2 experiments that are expected for you to be doing that week. Now this week, because of the introduction, there's only one actual lab that's due next week. It's due on Wednesday, not Monday, because of the holiday. And then there's only one physical lab next week. So there's only one lab due the following week as well because of the holiday. Okay, so we worked on chemical equilibrium. Now you'll see that in this lesson, chemical equilibrium is in the D2L lesson. Okay, sorry, the equilibrium lab is in the chemical equilibrium D2L section. So if I go to content and I do exam 1 and I go to chemical equilibrium and I scroll down, I'll see that there's a folder for the chemical equilibrium lab. Now there's another place that this exists, and that's here in the labs. And the documents should be the same between the two, but they aren't always. I'm trying to make sure that they are. But all the documents that you need and the way that I've set this up is through this particular folder. So if you click into the chemical equilibrium, you'll see that there's a video here. That video was recorded when we first went virtual during the pandemic, and it talks about how the experiment was actually done. It is a nice informative video, so if you want to watch it, that's great. What you'll next see, this is the data that you will need to be able to complete this experiment. So what we've done is we've gone into the laboratory, we've collected data doing this experiment, and then we're providing that data to you so that you can do what we call dry labbing. So you were provided with data and you're expected to write the report as if you did it yourself, okay? It's not quite the same experience, but that's the idea. The next thing you'll see is the checklist. And let me see if I can get around. Sorry. If you open the checklist, that opens in a new folder, and I need to view this as a student, so give me 2 seconds to do that. Sorry. I always forget that I'm not you. So if we view this as a student, go back to where we were, equilibrium section, the checklist, we open that in a new tab. What you'll see is that there's an actual checklist here. So you can say, yes, I referred to the lab manual. Yes, I went and downloaded the summary, which is that link right here. This takes you to the assignment. So if you were to click this, it would take you into the assignment. And this is where you will turn this in, and it has the document here. So that's where that takes you. So the document is there. So then you can say, yes, I did that, and mark that off. Okay, so I mark these off when I turn them in, but that's just me. There's the summary, the post lab, the lab notebook, and the Excel. Now I need to go in and add the ALEX files. And let me talk just for a second about the ALEX. My intention was not to give you any ALEX for this because in the past, when we've done this, we've just provided people with the data and then let them pretend that they were there effectively. I find that that's not working so well for people who have never been in the lab. And so giving you a simulation through ALEKS, if we have one available, is helpful. So for the ones that we have one, I have put in an ALEKS assignment to go with this. Now, if I close that, I'm not used to having only one screen to look at. I'm used to multiple screens, but I'm not able to do that right now. If we go into the assignments, and these are not in a great order at the moment, but you'll see, and I always do this as a search. I search for ALEKS, and I can find all the ones that have an ALEKS. So these ones that are name, number, that goes with the lecture topics, okay? But if I scroll down and go to the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is an experiment 10 in ALEKS. This is experiment 11 in ALEKS. You'll see they say experiment numbers. So there are some experiments that are in ALEKS. So I have added them where they exist. So chemical equilibrium does have one. That's why I need to put it in that checklist. But that is one that you can do. It is a 10-point portion of the assignment. I know how frustrating those ALEKS experiments can be. So it's 10 points if you choose to do it. Great. If you don't, that's not a huge deal. All right. But you are required to turn in something for every experiment. Otherwise, you cannot pass the class. Okay. So there is the ALEKS. There is the notebook, the summary, the post lab, and the Excel file. So when we're talking about the Excel file, you'll see that there is this Excel, and it says go to assignment tool, and it will then show you this Excel file. We'll walk through that. So there are a couple of documents that I am expecting. So let me find my documents. Now, the first thing you'll see here, this is from the lab manual. This is the lab manual that goes along with this assignment. So that's the chemical equilibrium lab manual. That does not need to be turned in. That is for your reference. And we will be using it heavily to do the rest of this. This is the data that you will need to be able to fill in the data in your lab report and the Excel spreadsheet. We'll talk about that in detail when we do those things. Okay. This is the pre-lab and summary. This gets turned in as the summary. Okay. This pre-lab part, we'll talk about, that needs to go in your lab notebook. The summary part all needs to be filled out here. And then there's a post-lab that will get filled out. Now, the post-lab are questions that are very similar to the lab itself and to the stuff that was done in the summary to kind of broaden your horizon with that. And the reason that we have you do both is because they are all materials that will appear on the lab final. So we make you do both of them. Now, your lab summary and all the parts makes up 100 points. So the notebook is 20 points. Excel, if it exists, is 20 points. The ALEKS is 10 if it exists. And then the post lab is 100 points in and of itself. The rest of those points are distributed over all of the questions that are asked in the summary. Okay. Now, as far as, and I think that's all of the, I just want to trying to make sure I'm doing this in sections. So I think those are all the documents that you're going to need to be able to do this. Now I'm going to stop here, stop this recording, start a new recording so that we can make sure that we have everything that we need. But I have been having a lot of difficulty recording more than 5 minutes at a time. So I'm going to be doing this in sections. Like I said, I will put this so that they're all put together for you so that you can watch them together if you choose to do so. Okay? So I'll be back in a couple minutes. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I'm going to stop sharing and then I'm going to stop recording. And I'm sorry I coughed.